You know, it's been a while since I've done the New York Mets video. As all of you know, the fire sale has begun. And boy, oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, is it getting real. The New York Mets, in my opinion, had the worst offseason in MLB history. You let go of the core, right? David Stearns wanted to solidify himself to be that guy, that top guy, right? He wanted his guys here. But boy, oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, did our New York Mets and David Stearns sure put themselves in a different tier with how poorly managed and how bad of an offseason this team has had. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on the last day of the trade deadline. Today is August 3rd. It's currently 6:45 a.m. when I am making this video. The fire sale has begun. But you know what's the most comical part to it? Is that the fire sale that I thought would happen is actually not happening at this time. So the New York Mets ended up trading away A.J. Minter. They then followed that up by trading away Freddie Peralta. And then they followed that up by trading away Oscar Brazoban. So the players that I thought would garner serious interest, Tyrone Taylor, potentially Luis Roberts Jr. as a depth piece for a team that needs an outfielder. Potentially, I really did think that Luke Weaver would be on the block, potentially Clay Holmes. There were a lot of things that I thought would get done. And ladies and gentlemen, even when the New York Mets have to become a team that has an all-out fire sale and a garage sale of their players, they still cannot trade some of these guys. Now, we did think that I explained that before on this channel, that Francisco Lindor was likely not going to get traded at this point. I did think that Bo Bichette would get traded. It's likely that he's not getting traded now. So essentially what we're doing is we're basically going to be rolling out some of these same guys into next season. And well, hopefully we have a season, but that's what we're going to be doing with our New York Mets, ladies and gentlemen. And even when it's time to have a fire sale, they can't get it right. Wow. And again, I'll ask you guys this question. You guys know how I feel about David Stearns. I don't believe he is the guy. I don't believe that he is the right piece to lead this Mets turnaround. It's going into the future. I just don't. I believe that his way of roster construction is flawed. I believe the analytics, they do have a place in the game of baseball to a certain extent. I do believe that the way he operates, it is not conducive to being in the New York market because of the things that I've mentioned before on this channel. Okay? Analytics is an equation that just inputs numbers and it spits you out players. And then at that point, you try to get the max amount of value that you can at a lower number. Okay? This approach can work if you're in a smaller market team because you don't have the stresses that come with playing in the New York market. Again, you want to build a team up through an equation. That is fine. You want to get your guys. Here's the deal. Some of your guys probably are not going to be good in the New York market. Again, I don't want to use this same comparison, but when you look at what David Stearns has done compared to Leon Rose, what did Leon Rose say first and foremost? Before he can even look at the talent and the numbers, before any of that becomes a thing, they need to see if you have the right personality. Well, they need to see if the players that they want to trade for have the right personality to play in the New York market. And ladies and gentlemen, David Stearns' way of roster construction is flawed and it's going to remain flawed. Because, in my opinion, I believe it was a collaborative team effort that the Brewers had compared to the Mets. The Brewers probably had way better scouts in their system. They probably had way better player developmental coaches in their system, which is allowing them to have sustained success that the New York Mets haven't had. And I think this is even more of a testament. We're going to get into a lot of things that I have pulled up right now, but I think this is a testament to the New York Mets organization, their franchise. You traded away your number 3 and number 5 prospects for Freddie Peralta. Freddie Peralta was an absolute debacle. The trade was a debacle. It was probably one of the worst trades in Mets franchise history. You traded for what you believe to be a true ace in Freddie Peralta, who was a Cy Young candidate in the previous season. Okay? He had over a 5+ ERA. He would routinely get into the 100-pitch range before the 5th inning. This guy was the guy that David Stearns marked as, that is my guy. And the saddest part about it is that there was a potential trade before the season in which the New York Mets would have had to give up the house for Tariq Skubal, but they could have had that guy. But again, because David Stearns wanted to win on the margins, you know what? We could get someone who is just as good, And it turns out it backfires. Now, this whole season has been an absolute crap show of a situation. Okay? Between the free agent moves the players he decided to bring in, the trades that he made, everything has been a debacle. The New York Mets right now are the laughingstock of the MLB. You have the highest cap situation in the MLB. If you don't have the highest, it's top two. I want to say it's $386 million. I want to say the number one right now. I don't have it in front of me. I'm not going to pull it up. You guys could correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. You have, I'm going to say this again, the number one highest payroll in the MLB. If I'm wrong, let me know. And you have one of the worst teams in the MLB. You're close to, what is it now? Almost 40 games under 500 in a calendar year since the collapse started last year. And you guys know how I feel about this. I do not trust David Stearns based off of what I said earlier, right? With how he constructs his rosters to be the guy to lead this New York Mets franchise around because of the things that I have just mentioned. I don't believe we have the things in play here that help them become successful. So again, that's why I believe David Stearns is flawed here. And here we are at the trade deadline. What is, in my opinion, one of the biggest moments in Mets franchise history. You need to get this franchise to turn it all the way around. And now you are having a fire sale. Now I can't even begin to even trust your opinion and your knowledge on the players that you're trading for. Because if you can't hit on these players that you were looking for, we've seen how you have constructed your rosters with some of the players that you have brought in, trying to win on the margins. These are guys that you're valuing that haven't been that good. Outside of Luis Severino, Iglesias, and JD Martinez for that 2024 season, and Sean Manaea, who have we had? Let's talk about it. Who have we had? Listen, I'm just rambling on. It is what it is. You know, it's been a minute, but we back, baby. So let's get right into it. Oh, before I forget, if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're a recurring member and you love Mets content like this, please feel free to become a part of this channel, become a part of this family. Welcome to another edition of UDK Sports Talk. I'm your host, Alex Cruz, and sorry for that long introduction. This New York Mets team just knows how to get the frustration out of me. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We started up like this because it's only fitting. Did David Stearns and Steve Cohen have the worst offseason in baseball history? All right, this is a post by New York Mets News, as you can tell right here. So we'll just show this. NYM_news. All right. Pretty unbelievable that the Mets are spending a league high $328 million on the terrible product we've been forced to endure this season, which is actually $375 million with luxury tax factored in. Wow. Wow. Let's pull it up. Freddie Peralta. At this point, when this post was from a week ago, 21 games, 5-9, 5.01 ERA, 109 and 2/3 innings, 110 strikeouts, a whip of 1.46. It gets better, ladies and gentlemen, because this goes to the take that I said multiple times on this channel about me not finding Stearns to be a competent GM, especially in the New York market. There's no doubt in my mind. Watch, we all know how this works. It's kind of similar to, I think it's just that the Mets are a poorly ran franchise, and they have some bad juju going on there. David Peterson leaves, goes back to being solid. Watch, same thing's going to happen with Davis. He's going to go somewhere else, be solid. AJ Minter's probably going to be really good at his next destination with the Twins. Freddie Peralta, we already know, is going to reclaim his A status with the Rays. And Brosman is going to be great for the White Sox. That's just what it is. But here you go, Marcus Semien. This is the guy you traded Brandon Nimmo for, right? 207 average, 9 home runs, 29 RBI, 6 stolen bases, OPS 595. 299 appearances. All right, plate appearances. Oh, my Lord. This is insane. You see this right here? 2026 regular season for Jorge Polanco, 81 at-bats, 173 average, 1 home run, 4 RBIs, 49 OPS. Again, this further supports what I've been trying to tell you guys. You trust in this dude? You trust in him to lead this turnaround? Bo Bichette, 403 at-bats, 256 batting average, 10 home runs, 51 RBIs, 1 stolen base. Boba, I believe, if we elect not to trade him, I believe he would have a much better season next year. This was a transition year. I think the stresses of playing in New York have gotten to him. Luis Roberts Jr., 95 at-bats, 211 batting average, 3 home runs, 9 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 643 OPS. Tobias Myers, 26 games, 0-2, 6.26 ERA. Wow. 46 innings, 33 strikeouts, a whip of 1.39. Devin Williams, 3-2, 4.68 ERA, 32 2/3 innings pitched. 45 strikeouts, a whip of 1.65. Ladies and gentlemen. So this is who I am entrusting to turn it all the way around. Steve Cohen backed him and basically said, I'm not firing him. So what are we then? What are we as a franchise? Where are we in this franchise's run under Steve Cohen? We're settling for mediocrity. You're letting the computers and analytics run how you construct the roster. Do we truly have great talent evaluators in this Mets franchise's staff? Do we? Again, we could talk about a multitude of things, right? Because I'm going to get into the trades right now. But I believe that this is more of an indictment of who David Stearns is. And maybe where this Mets franchise is. We traded away our number 3 and number 5 prospects. Okay? Last year, this past offseason, for Freddie Peralta. And I'm going to pull up this graphic right here. Hold up. The Mets gave up their number 3 and number 5 prospects for half a season of Freddie Peralta, who had a 4.99 ERA in 22 appearances this season. And the return for him was the Rays' 15th, 26th, and 27th ranked prospects. All right? That was a tweet by Mets Muse. Y'all see, you go follow them. All right? Now, I have to go back to that because I believe that this is more of an indictment of the Mets franchise. Because those number 3, number 5 prospects have been brutal for the Milwaukee Brewers this season. I mean, Brandon Sproul has pitched better, but they have been brutal. So again, your number 3 and number 5 prospects, we were supposed to have a revamped farm system. These players are not doing nothing. And some of the players that we've gotten rid of, Tidwell, one of them, has been pretty solid. But most of the guys that we've let go of, where have they been? What has happened with Jonah Tong? You remember? King Tong, you remember that? Where did that go? Nothing. In my opinion, you don't got it right from the top down. And I'm supposed to entrust in David Stearns to make these decisions that are going to turn around this franchise. Ladies and gentlemen, I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I don't have trust in this guy. I don't believe we have the talent evaluators. Like I said before, I don't want to sound like a broken record. And I don't believe in him. I don't. He's not a good fit for New York. We see the way he has handled the media this season. And we can't even get it right in a fire sale because nobody wants anybody. We'll get into that a little bit later. But here we go, man. Let's do it. Let's react. So we got a couple of things we got to talk about, all right? See this right? You want to see how bad the New York Mets have been? Let's pull this bad boy up. Big screen. All right, here we go. The Mets have the lowest combined MLB and minor league winning percentage. Again, further supporting what I've been saying. Not only do the Mets have the third lowest winning percentage in the MLB, but their minor league affiliates also have the lowest combined winning percentage of any organization in baseball. So clearly supporting what I'm saying. This team does not have it right at all. When you combine the major league and minor league records, and the Mets have the lowest winning percentage of any organization in the game, ESPN's Kylie McDaniel ranked the Mets as the best farm system in baseball last August. That system has clearly taken a step back in 2026. Some of their top prospects have regressed. Jonah Tong has a 5.59 ERA. Jacob Reimer has a .772 OPS after posting a .870 OPS in 2025. Ryan Clifford has a .661 OPS. At the same time, the likes of Nolan McClain, AJ Ewing, and Carson Bitch have graduated from prospect status. At every level, the Mets are getting some of the worst results imaginable. in 2026. Yet David Stern's job as the leader of this organization appears to be completely secure thanks to Steve Cohen. This is getting more egregious by the day. Absolutely. Absolutely. The numbers support it. But you know what? Before we get into those trades, because trust me, guys, we're going to make this quick and rapid fire. I got to salute to my brother, Francisco Lindor, because I know a lot of y'all Mets fans, y'all don't rock with him. You guys know Francisco Lindor, Frankie, that's my guy. All right? So I'm always going to show love to my guy, Francisco Lindor. I don't care what y'all say, because he's one of the greatest Mets that we have had. Is he one of the most likable to you guys? Absolutely not. But I'm not going to sit here and throw shade at my brother, Francisco Lindor, because as all of you know, I believe that he's uberly talented. And we ain't getting none of that type of production from the shortstop position anytime soon once David Stearns makes a decision to get rid of him. We know how this works already. We know this. I don't even know why we try to contest this. I'm trying to find a stat. I can't do it. And it's basically Francisco Lindor elevating his status. There we go, right here. Y'all see this right here? It's going to make Mets fans mad. You see this? You see where he's at, right? We got Pete Alonso right there, number 1, 264. Darryl Strawberry, 252, right? David Wright, 242. See all these Mets legends? Y'all see that, right? Mike Piazza, 220. Howard Johnson, 192. Dave Kingman, 154. 150. Francisco Lindor. Yeah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. The guys that you hate, right? The guys that, I don't want to say hate, dislike, he's up there. So throw respect on Lindor's name. All right, so Francisco Lindor continues to climb the Mets' all-time leaderboards, passing Carlos Beltran for 7th in franchise history with his 150th home run as a Met last night. Lindor now ranks 7th in Mets history in home runs, 150, 6th in WAR, wins above replacement, 27.4, 11th in RBIs, 470, and 11th in extra base hits, 326. And you guys are going to sit here and tell me that's growing on trees. But again, I digress. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start it up like this. Let's talk about the A.J. Minter trade. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the Mets have traded A.J. Minter to the Twins, according to multiple reports. In return, the Mets are getting Minnesota's number 21 prospect, third baseman, first baseman, Billy Amick, and their number 29 ranked prospect, shortstop, second base, Bruin Agbayani, the son of Benny, according to Will Salmon of The Athletic. Thank you to A.J. Minter for the job that he did here. Unfortunately, it really is unfortunate when you have players like this. Let me pull up the full view because I don't want to say this without having a full view for perspective. When you have players like this, like A.J. Minter, a guy who notoriously, listen, he had his injury issues, but in his time in the MLB, he was always a solid pitcher, okay? I remember when he used to terrorize us when he was with Atlanta. Minter was always a solid pitcher in the MLB. Unfortunately, injuries derailed him. But we all notice when he has been able to remain healthy, he's one of the game's better relief pitchers. And ladies and gentlemen, A.J. Minter, when he came back, was sensational for us. One of the better relievers in baseball. And he is a guy that hopefully, his time here doesn't go unnoticed if we're able to hit on one of these prospects. All right? And, it does suck. Obviously, that's the business of baseball, but we all knew A.J. Minter was going because he didn't have a future here. The Mets weren't going to re-sign him, and you couldn't just let them walk for free. And I believe that you should do that with anybody who's an impending free agent. I'm telling you guys, if I'm David Stearns, you got to look to move Brooks Raley. You got to look to move potentially Clay Holmes because you only have 1 year left with him. Maybe Luke Weaver. You might be able to get Max Hall back for them. But because the way the trade deadline has been, there has been basically no moves. It looks like teams are reluctant to trade. And because of that, I feel like the New York Mets are having a hard time right now being able to make some moves, if that makes sense. Let's pull up the small view. All right? Let's do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, that trade was then followed up, okay, with the Freddie Peralta trade. All right? And we're going to pull up some of these prospects a little bit after this, but I have to do this first. Breaking, the Mets have traded Freddie Peralta to the Rays for 3 prospects, according to Will Salmon of The Athletic. Still waiting the details on what the Mets received in return for Peralta. Okay? It then later came out, and here we go. The Mets traded away Freddie Peralta and received Aiden Smith, Gary Gilhill, and Emilian Petre. Okay? Sorry if I mispronounced that. Here we go. So let's read this out. The Mets have traded Freddie Peralta to the Rays for 3 prospects, landing 3 top 30 prospects from one of the MLB's deepest farm teams for a struggling rental with a 4.99 ERA. Now, I'm going to come out here and tell you guys this. So this alludes to what I said earlier. We traded away our number 3 and number 5 prospects for Freddie Peralta, and they did absolutely nothing. Okay? Nothing. They have been pretty bad. So there's a chance, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on. Let me pull up the full view for this. Okay? Let me pull up the full view. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a chance that the prospects that we traded for from the Tampa Bay Rays are going to be light years ahead of the players that we have here in our farm system. Just to provide perspective to how good the Tampa Bay Rays farm system is. That farm system has produced numerous amounts of high-level talent. Numerous amounts of high-level talent. So again, I don't know where these players rank. I don't know how good they become. But it's clear to say now that the Mets farm system, they're not even remotely close to being MLB ready or performing at a consistent level in the MLB. Outside of McClain, Benj, and Ewan, what have we had? The Rays notoriously have had great prospects who have been pretty successful at the MLB level. So again, take it with a grain of salt. That's how I feel about it. But again, I still don't trust what David Stearns has done here. And I still don't trust him to lead around this turnaround. But again, what was he really going to get back for Freddie Peralta? I'm telling you guys, there's a very realistic chance that these prospects that we have here are better. Hear me out. They are better than anything we have in our farm system right now. There's a chance that that is a very possible thing. But again, I digress. The highest ranked prospect coming to Queens is outfielder Aiden Smith, Tampa Bay's number 15 prospect per MLB pipeline. Again, an outfielder, and it looks like you have your outfielders. Again, all right, whatever. The 22-year-old was drafted by Seattle in the 4th round in 2023 before being traded to Tampa Bay in the 2024 Randy Arozarena deal. Smith remains in high A and has struggled this season, batting .209 with 10 home runs and a .672 OPS over 59 games. The power is legit, though. With 36 home runs across 280 career minor league games, Smith's biggest offensive concern has been the drop in on-base ability, falling from a 401 on-base percentage in 2024 to 281 this season. The lone pitcher coming back is right-handed pitcher Gary Gilhill, the Rays' number 26 prospect. The Westchester County native was a sixth-round pick out of high school in 2022 and has posted a 4.43 ERA across 15 AA starts this season. More importantly, the 21-year-old has cut his walk rate from 4.10 walks per 9 in 2023 to 1.55 in 2026. Scouts project the 6'2" right-hander as a potential back-end MLB starter who could be ready as soon as next season. He relies on ground balls, weak contact, and durability as an innings eater. Kind of sounds like we got basically another David Peterson, right? Is that how that sounds to me? I mean, listen, it is what it is. To get that back for Freddie Peralta, I mean, you're lucky to get anything like any type of return back for Freddie Peralta. I mean, at this point, listen, hypothetically, I don't want to make this a joke, but if you were able to trade Kodai Senga for a bucket of baseballs, I think you'd be happy with that right now. I kind of feel that way with Freddie Peralta for how bad he was. Just surprised we got 3 prospects. Here we go. The Mets also acquired second baseman Emilian Pitre, Tampa Bay's number 27 prospect, and a second-round pick in 2024. The 23-year-old has hit .323 with a .943 OPS and 11 stolen bases over 37 games since being promoted to AA. Since being drafted, Pitre owns a .285 average, .805 OPS, and 53 steals across 227 professional games. He could reach the majors next season, with 2028 viewed as a more realistic target for a full-time role. Overall, this looks like a solid return for the Mets. Peralta was struggling this season and set to depart for free agency in just a few months. So instead of letting him walk for nothing, the Mets get 3 quality prospects from a deep Rays farm system. In return, the Mets have now brought in 6 total prospects for David Peterson, A.J. Minter, Freddie Peralta so far, with more trades likely to be made before tomorrow's deadline. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, we're going to look at some tape for some of the guys that we got. I want to pull this up. Let's pull it up real quick. because I want you guys to see the type of prospects we've acquired. Here we go. So y'all see it. Let's read this bad boy out. Last night, the Mets began their 2026 sell-off by shipping away reliever A.J. Minter to the Minnesota Twins. In return, the Mets ended up getting back Minnesota's number 21 ranked prospect, Billy Amick, and their number 29 ranked prospect, Bruin Agbayani. Minter, 32, had a great return off a torn left lat injury that abruptly ended his 2025 season in late April. Since returning the Mets in late May, Minter had posted a 2.35 ERA and a 1.0 whip over 23 appearances. Although Minter has been very effective overall for the Mets, he has a career-low strikeout rate this season and surprisingly fared better against righties in 2026 despite being a lefty specialist. Considering Minter is a rental reliever with recent injury history who's set to hit free agency in a few months, the Mets got a solid haul in return by snagging 2 top 30 prospects from a Twins farm system that's widely regarded as top 10 in baseball. Amick, 23, was a second-round draft pick by the Twins out of Tennessee in 2024. The right-hander brings a ton of pop, posting 23 home runs, 72 RBIs, and a .820 OPS over 86 AA games this season. Amick has experience playing both first base and third base, although where he'll fit in defensively seems to be a question long-term with an .831 OPS over his minor league career dating back to 2024, 163 games. Amick has fared well overall at the plate. The Mets farm system desperately needed a power boost, and Amick has 7 more home runs than the next closest Mets hitter in their system. So again, this is the situation that I go back to talking about, man, that I alluded to earlier. Before we get into Agbayani, let's pull up the full screen. Let's pull it up. You know, when you look at what the New York Mets have had at their disposal, again, going back to their farm system, players that we don't know who they are. We don't know how they're going to be. Maybe is it the Mets franchise, right? Like, we just can't develop anybody, and these players will go somewhere else and be great. Maybe. But based off of what we've seen, our prospects haven't really done much, you know? I mean, we've had decent, nothing truly special. And these other teams' farm systems have had good players. Maybe some of these players pan out. Or maybe they don't. We don't know. We're the New York Mets. We know how this works. But again, to get this type of a return, I don't believe it's a bad job by David Stearns. I just don't trust his ability to evaluate talent. I don't know if I could trust his decision-making. Can you? You let me know. After the debacle that happened this offseason, can you trust him? I don't know. But from what I'm seeing, I kind of like what I'm seeing right now. You know, you don't know. We don't know. But if we're talking about youngsters, let's not get this twisted. Benj is a Stearns guy. Ewing is not a Stearns guy. McClain is not a Stearns guy. All right? So remember that. Let's pump the brakes before we think that he truly knows how to evaluate talent. Remember this. Those are not Stearns guy. The only Stearns guy that is a part of this active roster is Carson Benj in terms of a rookie being developed, a prospect. All right, let's get back into reading this out, finishing this off. Bruin Agbayani, the son of Mets legend Benny, was the Twins' 6th-round pick in 2025. Getting drafted out of high school last year, Agbayani is still only 19 years old due to a shoulder injury in April that led to surgery. Agbayani has played in just 25 total minor league games, over 10 games in high A this season. Agbayani has batted .268 with a .753 OPS, while Agbayani has primarily played second base and shortstop. He's expected to eventually settle as a second baseman or even corner outfielder due to his lack of range at shortstop. Overall, solid hold by the Mets here. Excited to see another Agbayani in their system. And you guys know how I do. We got to pay homage to the brother Benny Agbayani. To those of you that don't know, if you're a newer Mets fan and you don't understand the greatness that we had, okay? If y'all don't understand it, here we go. I was a kid watching this with my dad, man. Y'all just had to be here. Y'all just had to see this. Let's pull it up. You just had to be there. You just had to be there, brother. I was watching this at home with my dad when this happened. Look at this. Yeah, Mets legend Benny Agbayani. At least we know he could play here. So his son might have the DNA to play here. He might, brother. That's the thing. You got to have that DNA to be able to play in New York. It's different out here. Man, look how far we came. Oh, my God. Bubba Trammell. Y'all remember Bubba Trammell? Holy smokes. Jay Payton. Who's that? Oh, man. Send him home packing. Get out of here. Mike Hampton, Ray Ordonez. Oh, my Lord, bro. Abbott there, damn. My God, Barry Bonds, bro. Where's Piazza at? Where's Timo Perez at? Oh, man. Bobby Valentine. What a team, bro. Robin Ventura. Edgardo Alfonso. Was John Olerud a part of that team? I believe he was, too. Man, what a time, bro. Just what a time. What a time, ladies and gentlemen. But we not done yet. We not done cooking. Here we go. Let's pull it up. Let's pull up the tape. So, we got to come out with the tape. This deep dive talk, man. Let's go.
Left field, put another one on the board, and we got a tie game.
Season high form is 88 in that regard. He fires home, and Amick swings away and belts one. Deep left field, Elliott doesn't even move.
A lot of power.
Way out of here for Billy Amick is 20.
Good bat, looks comfortable at the dish.
And
nice slow, he's in control. This is what you want to see.
It is in the parking lot.
This dude can hit.
That ball got away.
He can hit.
Could be classified as one.
Opposite field power, that's right center, that's home.
Well towards the right center field gap, carrying well towards the warning track.
I know a hitter, a righty hitter that used to hit
ball
home runs
just
to right
kept
center
going.
field. It's the guy that David Stearns let go.
Leads the team in home runs, and here's a high fly ball. Well struck left field. Put another one on the board, and we got a tie game as Billy goes fly. Leads the team in home runs, and here's a high fly ball. Well struck left field. Put another one on the board, and we got a tie game.
Season high form is 88.
Let's pull up Bruin Agbayani, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go. See my guy at work. Smooth. Lefty. Let's see what he got. Smooth low. Bang. Follow through. He has speed too. Sorry for saying that like that. This kid could be solid, man. Bang. Smooth stroke. Listen, he comes from MLB talent in the family, man. He has to be good. Good piece of hitting. Go with it. Bang. Gets the job done right there. And based off Marcus Semion's play, we're going to have a hole at second base pretty soon. Love the ability to go away. And that's Bruin Agbayani, ladies and gentlemen. Not a lot to see from him, but those are our guys, ladies and gentlemen. All right? So I wanted you guys to see this real quick. These are the stats from the prospects that we got from the Tampa Bay Rays. Here we go. Petre, 302 at-bats, 308 batting average, 5 home runs, 46 RBIs, 32 stolen bases. This guy's going to be good. This kid's going to be good. Gary Gill, 20 games started. Well, 20 games pitched in. 7-3, 4.49 ERA, 108 in the third innings, 87 strikeouts, 1.38 whip. Aiden Smith, 235 plate appearances, 209 batting average, 10 home runs, 40 RBI, 16 stolen bases. That's the hold that we got to return. Now, I don't have anything else in regards to that. All right? Tape, we don't got none of that here. I'm pretty sure we could find it. We'll probably talk about that in another episode. But ladies and gentlemen, that's the return that the New York Mets have. Hey, listen, we don't have to react to that Robert Stock's first appearance. We don't have to do that. But, it is what it is. We'll react to the last trade that the Mets had. And that was the Mets are trading Huascar Brazoban to the White Sox. They will receive Class AA right-handed pitcher Gabe Davis and Class AAA right-handed pitcher Zach Franklin. Gabe Davis is ranked. Zach Franklin is not. We all know that we weren't going to bring back Brazoban. He's in the last year of that deal. We already know what type of time it is. The return for Huascar Brazoban are right-handed pitchers Gabe Davis, I just mentioned, and Zach Franklin. Gabe Davis, number 18 ranked prospect for the White Sox organization, and Franklin, who is unranked. Again, you got something in return for him. Highly likely you weren't going to be able to bring back Brazoban. Huascar Brazoban's final numbers with the Mets over 3 seasons: 117 games, 136 and 2/3 innings pitched, a 3.42 ERA, 123 strikeouts, 8.1 strikeouts per 9, 1.19 whip, 0.66 home runs allowed per 9. He quietly became one of the Mets' most reliable relievers during his time in Queens. Going to miss him. Thanks for everything, Huascar. Let's go, Mets. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the trade deadline from our New York Mets. Now, you guys already know where I stand on this. I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. What do you think about the New York Mets decisions, the trades that they made, these prospects? What do you think is going to turn out for the rest of this trade deadline? I don't believe that the New York Mets are going to trade Lindor. I don't believe they're going to trade Bichette. I believe that window, in order for you to have these conversations, needed to have started maybe a couple of days ago in order for you to try and work something out. I believe that we're now too close to the deadline. There hasn't been much news, if not any, around any of the bigger Mets players' polls in the system. So, again, I don't think that the Mets are going to make any moves. So, essentially, they're going to go into next year with kind of like a similar roster. So, I don't know how I feel about that. Again, you guys let me know in the comments what you think, but I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. Let's chop it up in the comments. But, ladies and gentlemen, we got to talk about this. Okay, so as all of you know, a big piece of contest, and I'm sorry for taking this long to respond to this, but I have to, because I have some opinions on this, all right? So bear with me. I'm pulling this up on the screen right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to change the layout. Here we go. So there was one big trade. Well, there were a couple. Kevin Gausman got traded. Luis Garcia Jr. got traded to the Yankees. Good moves by them. I'm not going to react to those. There's one that I wanted to talk about. It was the trade that the Los Angeles Dodgers made this past weekend in acquiring Tariq Skubal. Now, I waited a little bit to respond to this. I wanted to collect my thoughts together, and I wanted to see what the Mets did first and foremost at the trade deadline to see where I would rank the Mets' moves, right? But also providing an opinion to see how active other teams were going to be. I like what the Cubs did. They traded for David Peterson earlier, right? And then they ended up making a move for Gausman. Good, solid moves by the Cubs. The Yankees needed power, and they needed a bat in that lineup. They got one with Luis Garcia Jr. And guess what? I believe that he has the personality to play really well in New York. So guess what? They probably got themselves another quality piece. All right? But I digress. Whatever. The reason why Tariq Skubal is the player that I want to talk about. It's the number one pitcher in the game. Absolutely filthy. Upper 90s. Sometimes triple digits with ease. One of the filthiest secondary selection of pitches in the league, if not the best. He can spot up. He's elite at what he does. He has the presence. He's a taller pitcher and throws absolute gas, absolute smoke. In my opinion, when we're talking about electricity, outside of Jacob Misiorowski, who he's been a revelation this year for the Milwaukee Brewers, again, another guy, right? I guess we could say, did he come from Stearns or was that the developmental team? I don't know. Whatever. I don't want to throw shade right there, but it doesn't matter. Outside of Misiorowski with that explosive fastball, Tariq Skubal's right next to him with explosive stuff. That's how highly I think of Misiorowski. I think he's the best pitcher in the game. Well, I think Skubal's number one. Misiorowski, they're like tied at that spot. 1A, 1B for me. And that's how filthy Skubal is. And the Los Angeles Dodgers, the rich keep getting richer. The poor keep getting poorer. They ended up finessing the Detroit Tigers for Tariq Skubal. We're able to keep their top prospects. They ended up giving a top 5 prospect for him. Let's pull up the details of the deal right now, because I do have an opinion on this before I get up on out of here. We got to talk about this, all right, you guys? So here we go. Dodgers delivered blockbuster acquirer Skubal from Tigers. Sonia Chen. It's an article on MLB.com. The price tag was high, but for the back-to-back champion Dodgers, no cost is too steep with a 3-peat bid in play. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Dodgers acquired Tariq Skubal. Tigers acquired Los Angeles Dodgers prospects rank. Zaire Hope, the number 5th prospect. River Ryan, number 7 prospect. Ryan, the pitcher. And Brady Smith, the number 17th prospect. Right, ladies and gentlemen? A great return. Great return for them. Not a bad return, you know what I mean? Because I know a lot of people out here saying that they got finessed. But here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen, because I have to talk about this. The one thing that I have noticed following this, living through this trade deadline period, is that these teams do not want to make moves. these teams right now, they're prioritizing running their teams like actual businesses. Nobody really wants to make moves. Nobody wants to give up that control. Nobody wants to do it anymore. The LA Dodgers acquiring Tariq Skubal is an embarrassment of riches, but they don't care. You want to know why? Because they were able to get it right. They have the players there. And what allows these guys, what allows the Dodgers to do what they did was the simple fact that Shohei Ohtani took the contract that he did. So it allows you to pay $60 million to Kyle Tucker. It allows you to pay a max contract to Freddie Freeman. It allows you to pay a contract, the contract that you did to Mookie Betts. It allows you to do those things because you have everybody else in play. You have, in my opinion, 4 aces in one rotation. What is it now? Glasnow, Yamamoto, Skubal, Sasaki's tough. What is it? Blake Snell's coming back? I forget. I want to say Blake Snell's a part of that team. You drop it in the comments. Edwin Diaz is back being healthy. Where are these prospects going to go in the future of this Dodgers team? They're not going anywhere. So again, these are just big-time trade pieces so you could go get these proven guys and talent that we already know could work. They have the system out there working in LA. The Dodgers right now, it's funny because in both baseball and football, the Rams are operating the same way and so are the Dodgers in baseball. It is crazy. Box office, Hollywood, you name it, you got it out there in LA. It's special. But ladies and gentlemen, this trade, you know what this certifies to me? Is that these franchises, they're not beat anymore. They are not going to pay these players big time money because at the end of the day, this is what it comes down to. No one wanted to trade for Tariq Skubal, wanted to give up the influx of prospects that was required because they didn't want to pay this man the contract that he's going to command in the offseason. That's right, I said it. None of these teams were willing to part ways with these prospects, I should say. They weren't willing to do it, to give up that control, to give up years of having a player play at a cheaper number in order for them to receive max amount of return and profit on the player, to pay a guy right now, what's it going to be, 40 M's a year? What's it going to be, 40, 45? It's going to be in that number. He's going to get the richest contract in MLB history for a pitcher. Tariq Skubal is. Okay? So the Dodgers are like this. Listen, we're trying to three-peat. It's likely we're not going to re-sign him. We already know that brother over there, Steve Cohen, he's willing to dish out the bank for him. So let's just get our three-peat. Don't worry, we'll be back competing again next year. And these other teams are saying, we're not giving up our prospects to go get a 2-month rental. We're not going to do that because we don't want to be like the New York Mets. Let's go back to the New York Mets, ladies and gentlemen. You remember that trade a couple of seasons ago? Remember the year that Francisco Lindor, the moment that got him, solidified his fate with the Mets fans? Y'all remember this? The thumbs down? Who was the player they traded for? Javi Baez. Who was the prospect they shipped off? PCA, Peter Crow Armstrong. He is a premier outfielder in the MLB right now. The Cubs are going to build with him. He's been a 2-time All-Star already. He's probably going to be one of the game's premier outfielders for years to come. And the Mets traded him for Javi Baez. And at the time, I loved Javi Baez. But they didn't even elect to re-up him. Those days are gone. Those days are gone, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody wants to win. I believe that these teams feel they can't even beat the Dodgers. So what is the point of me giving up all of these prospects if I can't beat the team? So that's where we are, ladies and gentlemen. We are in a state of the MLB. We already know what this is going to result to. All of these teams probably allow this thing to happen so that they could further provide an argument as to why there needs to be a salary cap in baseball. Here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. Going back to what I said earlier, if Ohtani does not take the deal that he does, the Dodgers can't do what they're doing. It's ridiculous what they're able to do. But that's what makes it great. And you know why I give them credit? Because they understand this. If you want to keep winning championships, you have to keep adding to the roster. You just don't roll it back with the same guys. Can your team be good enough to win, maybe back to back like that? There's an argument that you have a better argument for that. Yes. But in terms of having sustained success, all these other teams are trying to catch up to you, to beat you. You went to Game 7 in Toronto last season. If it wasn't for that miracle home run, you likely lose to the Toronto Blue Jays. So, yes, they said, we need more. Sign Tucker. Trade for Skubal. Sign Diaz. So, yes, that's what you're supposed to do. If you're a team that wants to win championships, this is what you're supposed to do. And these teams in MLB, they don't want to meet that energy. They don't want to meet them at that level. They don't. It's a wrap. The rich get richer, yes. But you know what? Sometimes you got to have some stones and say, you know what? If we get that guy, we can beat them. And these guys didn't want to do that. Because you want to know why? Because their prospects and years of control of trying to receive max profit on their return. If you have a good product, you're paying these players at a low rate. It allows you to receive the max amount of return on investment in terms of profit for the owners. That's what's happening right now. The Yankees went that route. We've already seen this. Their route is putting together a team that could compete. They're not really trying to build it to win a World Series. They just want to have a really good team. If they make it to the playoffs, if they lose, they don't care. They made it to the playoffs. They got it to the finish round. That's it. That's how they're looking at it. So at the end of the day, if they make the playoffs, it's a successful season for the New York Yankees. Nobody truly wants to go all in. You remember that season in which the Chicago Cubs won and they traded away Gleyber Torres and I forget the other prospect for Aroldis Chapman? Remember that? They did it to win the World Series. They saw a window. They did it. They executed and they won. Come on, give me a hug. Give me a hug. Hi, Papa. You tired. So I got the kids here. Come on, give me a hug. Have a good day at school, Papi. Have a good day at school, Papa. Love you, kid. It's raining outside. Bye, Papi. Those days are over, ladies and gentlemen. You remember that? The Cubs won the World Series because of that move. Aroldis Chapman was the premier closer in the game at that time. They didn't resign him. He ended up signing back with the New York Yankees. What's up, Papi? I got you. He ended up signing with the Yankees, and we all know how that went. The home run by Altuve hit, well, those heartbreaking losses to the Astros. Again, it doesn't matter. But I go back to this because these teams don't want to pay. They don't want to pay to play. Remember the Sabathia deal when the Brewers traded for him? That's not happening no more. When Verlander was traded from the Mets to the Astros, that's not happening. It's not happening, ladies and gentlemen. Those days are over. They are over. These teams don't value winning. They value their profits. They understand what time it is. They want to win, but they want to make money while winning. Again, going back to this, the Mets have lost significantly since Cohen has on the team. I want to say like they're down, like what is it, 500 mil? It's like ridiculous, the amount of loss, return on investment that Steve Cohen has seen. It's been ridiculously bad, ladies and gentlemen. Ridiculously bad. Okay? So you're going to sit here and tell me that these other teams haven't seen the blueprint? Nobody wants to pay these guys. You already know how the luxury tax is. These teams don't even want to pay into the luxury tax. These teams, most of the small market teams, want to stay under 100 mil in total payroll. So why am I trading for Tariq Skubal, knowing that I'm going to get rid of players who could probably become effective because we trust our farm system to have great players at a cheap rate? And that's why nobody traded for Tariq Skubal. Could there have been better packages out there? Yes. But nobody wants to part ways understanding that they're going to have to pay this man 40 M's a year in the offseason. So they rather value the younger talent, cheaper talent, than going to go get the guy who is going to help you win a World Series. And that is the era of baseball that we are in right now, ladies and gentlemen. Those days of those big trades happening, where those big flashy names are gone for a 2-month rental period in hopes of trying to win a World Series, those days are gone. And the only team that is allowed to do those type of trades is not the New York Mets, please excuse me, is the Los Angeles Dodgers, because they have the recipe to do it. They have the farm system, but they have the all-star talent there where these great farm system guys that they have can all become really effective at other places, and they could keep acquiring superstar talent. And Ohtani's contract allows him to be that special. And ladies and gentlemen, that's the place we on right now in the MLB. You got to pay to play. Teams aren't going to want to pay to play. This is rough, man. The state of MLB, they're in the worst state that the sport has ever been in. Yes, you had the World Baseball Classic, which is amazing. I'm not going to contest that. It's an amazing experience. It's phenomenal. Okay? But at the end of the day, okay, hear me out. It doesn't detract from the fact that MLB has a viewership problem. They have a fan problem. Most of these fan bases are composed of these older fans who have that blue-collar approach to the game, how it's supposed to be. You know, I don't want to make this argument, but where's the minorities in baseball outside of Hispanics? You know, I remember this. I had this conversation yesterday. Who remembers the 90s? Barry Bonds, Tony Gwynn, Albert Bell, right? Greg Vaughn, Fred McGriff. Where they at? Where they at? Let's talk about it. Where they at? Doc Good and Darryl Strawberry. Where they at? It's just, I can't begin to just think what has happened to the sport of baseball. It's like nobody wants to play the game anymore. It's like they're valuing basketball and football over baseball. We don't have the influx of players athletes that we did. I mean, listen, the game is still very athletic. But those players that we used to have, Ken Griffey Jr., man, Barry Bonds, Tony Gwynn, you know how special that was? Albert Bell, Fred McGriff, Greg Vaughn. In those 90s, early 2000s, do you not remember how crazy that was? Torrey Hunter? It's like, it just further solidifies to me that baseball's in a rough spot. The moves that these teams are making right now are on the margins moves. They're not trying to go all in and win a championship because they don't want to relinquish that talent, because they want to receive the max return on profit. That's what it comes down to. And the Dodgers don't care because they're in a big market making money all the time. They got the number one most marketable player in the MLB, Shohei Ohtani. They're out here winning. He's collecting rings like Infinity Stones. So it is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. And that right there is how we're going to wrap up this video. But you guys let me know in the comments what you think about what I just spoke about with our New York Mets. But most importantly, what do you think about the Tariq Skubal trade? Am I onto something? These owners don't want to pay no more. These GMs, they're trying to say, you know what, we'll rather rock with the young talent. If they pan out, they pan out. If they don't, they don't. We're just not going to go into that luxury tax. And I believe that's why these teams are pushing for the salary cap. But guess what? You know what's going to be the funniest part about it is when beggars can't be choosers. You can't just get a hard cap and say, oh, yeah, we're going to be fine. No. There's going to be a floor too. So what's that floor going to be? Is the floor going to be 175 M's? Or is it going to be 200 M's? What's it going to be? You see, and that's where the issue is going to happen. And that's where I believe the MLB season is not going to be played next year. Because these owners are not going to want to relinquish that ability to try and receive max amount of profit. Again, it's a business at the end of the day. You got to see green. You have to see some form of return on investment. So I get it. But you guys, that's all I got for you. I'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.